Okay, so today we're going to dig into the hidden history of a plant you've almost certainly run into and, let's be honest, probably tried to avoid the common stinging nettle. You definitely know it for its painful sting, but believe me, there is so much more to its story.
Yeah, if you've ever been out for a hike or just doing some work in the garden, you probably know this plant for that unforgettable sting, right? It grows fast, it spreads like crazy, and in modern farming, it's pretty much just seen as a nuisance, a weed that needs to go.
But what if I told you that this so-called weed actually has this incredibly rich history as a cornerstone of traditional medicine and even food? That for generations and generations, people didn't run away from this plant. They actually went looking for it. So let's peel back the layers on this surprisingly important plant. To really understand the nettle, we have to start with its most famous feature, right? That sting. It's not just some random defense mechanism, it's actually a pretty fascinating piece of natural chemistry at work. The way the sting works is just fascinating. The leaves and the stem, they're covered in these tiny, hollow hairs. They're called trichomes. And when you brush up against them, the little tips break off, turning each and every hair into a tiny hypodermic needle that injects this cocktail of chemicals right into your skin. So what exactly is in that cocktail? Well, it's a potent mix. You've got formic acid, which is the same chemical in ant stings, along with histamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine. All of them together cause that classic burning, itching feeling. But the irony here is that the very thing that causes the pain is also guarding a plant with a really deep history of healing. The story of stinging nettle is really a story of two very, very different identities: a pest that everybody recognizes and a remedy that everybody recognized. And this is the core conflict right here. On one hand, it's a fast-growing plant that farmers are often fighting to get under control, but on the other hand, it has this long and storied history as both food and medicine, woven deep into cultural practices all around the world for centuries. And this isn't just a local thing. Oh no, stinging nettle thrives across continents, from temperate parts of Asia and Europe to areas in Africa and the Americas. Its widespread availability is exactly why it became such a vital and accessible resource for so many different cultures. Okay, now we get to the heart of it. How exactly was this plant used? Forget about modern supplements for a minute. We're talking about the traditional, time-honored ways that made stinging nettle a household pharmacy. Internally, its uses were incredibly diverse. It was prepared as a tea or a tonic and was often seen as a blood purifier. Traditional practices used it to treat things like coughs and colds, as a diuretic to help manage sugar levels, and even to address issues like jaundice, diarrhea, and iron deficiency. And the list just keeps going. Externally, nettle preparations were used to soothe everything from joint pain and arthritis to nerve pain like neuralgia and sciatica. It was also a really common remedy for skin irritations, hemorrhoids, and all sorts of hair-related issues. Now, this is crucial. This traditional knowledge is not just some historical footnote. Countries with the absolute deepest historical roots in using nettle, places like India and Nepal, are the very same ones leading modern scientific research on the plant today. So the tradition is directly inspiring the science. But how did people actually do it? How did they get past that sting to unlock all these benefits? Well, the traditional methods were surprisingly straightforward and, frankly, pretty ingenious. First, they'd collect the young, tender shoots, often using tools like bamboo pincers to avoid getting stung. But the real magic happened next: boiling. Thoroughly boiling or cooking the leaves completely neutralizes those stinging chemicals. And once it's cooked, it could be prepared just like any other green vegetable, often turned into soups or curries or steeped as a tea. And this gets to the very heart of the traditional mindset. For centuries, there wasn't a hard line separating food from medicine. Nettle was a nutritious food that was also a remedy. The kitchen and the pharmacy, they were often one in the same place. So we've taken this journey from a common weed to an ancient healer. We've seen that what so many of us just dismissed today was once an absolutely essential part of daily life and wellness for people all over the world. The source material really puts it perfectly, calling stinging nettle, quote, a plant with a long history in household remedies and dietary practices. Its history isn't just about medicine, it's about its place in the home, in the diet, and in the daily rituals of health that were passed down through generations. And that brings us to our final thought. The next time you're outside and you spot a patch of stinging nettle, what are you going to see? Will it still just be a pesky weed to be avoided? Or will you see a living pharmacy, a plant with a secret history of healing, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of wonder?